It is Monday, February 9th, 2026, and we are starting with some major breaking news. This really shifts the whole narrative on the southern front.
It really is.
Ukraine has officially completely cleared the Ternuvate settlement in the Zaporizhzhia region. As of this morning, it is fully secured.
And that Russian claim of a breakthrough, it's gone, exposed as a total fabrication.
I mean, it's just a classic case of reality catching up to propaganda, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Right.
What Moscow was selling as this, strategic victory has turned out to be nothing more than a Hollywood production.
A production that crumbled in less than an hour.
When it met actual Ukrainian steel.
Yeah.
And silicon, as we'll get into.
Before we unpack just how this Hollywood battle played out and some of the, well, sci-fi tech that decided it, I do want to make a quick appeal directly to you.
It's so important.
If you support Ukraine, freedom, and justice, we really need you with us. Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports.
It's genuinely the best way to stay ahead of all the disinformation out there.
It really is. Join me in the latest program by Defense Report for the latest in global defense news, military technology, and strategic developments. And today we're going to cover, well, the truth behind these flag-planting infiltration tactics Russia's been using.
And this massive technological escalation in the air war, we're talking Predator drones now.
And maybe the most incredible detail, the first documented case of Russian soldiers surrendering to a ground robot.
We have to connect this to the bigger picture. Why this tiny village, Ternuvate, matters so much for the upcoming summer 2026 offensive and, those peace talks happening in Miami right now.
So let's dive right in. The battle for Ternuvate. For over a week, we've been hearing Russian state media, TAS, RIA Novosti, all of them.
Yeah, nonstop.
Claiming they'd captured it, videos, flags, the whole 9 yards. But today, it's 100% Ukrainian. You've seen the reports. How did this actually go down?
So to really get it, you have to look at the map and, crucially, the weather. Ternuvate is about 15 kilometers northwest of Huliaipol.
Right, the fortress city. That's held the line for years.
Exactly. So this is deep in the gray zone. And we're in the middle of a just brutal winter. Temperatures went down to, what, minus 25 Celsius?
Wow. With heavy fog and snow, I'm guessing?
The works. The kind of conditions where large-scale combat usually just grinds to a halt.
Right, you can't really move tanks in that kind of suit.
You can't. So the Russian command, they shifted tactics. They sent in these elite sabotage and reconnaissance groups, SRGs.
And these aren't just regular conscripts.
No, not at all. These are often their best, the VDV airborne units.
Yeah.
But their mission, it wasn't to hold ground. It was to infiltrate under the cover of that fog, plant a flag, and film it.
So it literally was a movie set. They were there to create content for the evening news in Moscow.
That's the perfect way to put it. The spokesperson for the Ukrainian Southern Defense Forces, Vladislav Voloshin, he called it a Hollywood tactic. They filmed their victory for an hour.
Just to get that visual of a Russian tricolor over a Ukrainian village?
That's it. It's about creating a digital reality, something for the news tickers in the West to make it look like the front line is collapsing.
But the movie had a pretty bad ending for them. How did the Ukrainians even spot them in that weather?
This is where that Ukrainian tech advantage just shines. Despite the fog, their reconnaissance UAVs, they have these advanced thermal optics.
Ah, so they saw the heat signatures.
Immediately. You can't hide body heat. But the response is what's really key. They didn't just start shelling the area. The 16th Army Corps deployed a very specific unit for this job.
I saw the name Shkval in the reports. What is that?
Shkval means squall or gale. And no, it's not a standard infantry battalion. It's a specialized company designed specifically for these kinds of rapid clearing operations. They're shock troops. They don't wait for good weather.
And we have video of the aftermath, right? I saw a clip from the Center for Countering Disinformation. It shows Ukrainian soldiers standing on the Russian flag.
And there's this powerful quote from one of the soldiers in that video. He basically says, Russians post their so-called victories for an hour. Ternuvate is ours. It's Ukrainian.
It just perfectly captures that disconnect between a telegram post and the reality on the ground.
It does. One part of the Russian group was eliminated. The rest were captured.
And that capture. This is the part that sounds like it was ripped from a science fiction novel. A robot was involved in the surrender.
This is a fascinating and, I think, a really pivotal moment in ground warfare. We have confirmed reports that the Shkval unit used unmanned ground vehicles, or UGVs.
Okay, so what exactly is this Depeche model they mentioned?
So it's a multi-role platform. It kind of looks like a small tracked rover. It can carry supplies, it can evacuate wounded, or in this case, it can be used as a forward presence.
So just imagine being a Russian soldier there. You're pinned down, your unit is getting wiped out, it's freezing cold.
Minus 25 degrees, can't see a thing in the fog, and then this mechanical thing rolls out of the mist towards you.
It must be terrifying. It doesn't feel pain. It doesn't get cold.
It doesn't negotiate. The psychological impact is just massive. And we saw the first really well-documented case of Russian soldiers surrendering to this robot. It actually escorted them back.
Incredible. But there was another reason they surrendered, right? It wasn't just the robot.
No. And this is the technical detail that really matters. They were completely cut off. Their communications were gone.
Was that jamming or something else?
It was way more sophisticated. We've known for a while that Russian units buy Starlink terminals on the black market to coordinate.
Right. It's been a huge problem.
But in Ternuvate, those terminals didn't just lose signal, they were bricked. Totally useless.
So SpaceX finally pulled the plug on them.
It looks that way. It seems like it was a whitelist operation combined with geofencing. Basically, if your terminal's ID wasn't registered to an authorized Ukrainian unit in that specific grid square, you were denied access.
That's a massive tactical shift. It means they went from high-speed internet to total silence in an instant.
Correct. And that's why the robot scenario played out. No Starlink meant they couldn't coordinate a retreat, couldn't call for support. They were blind, deaf, and freezing. The Depesha was just the final straw.
It turns an infiltration into a trap.
Precisely. This is what we mean when we say it's not just a gunfight anymore. It's a battle of complex systems. And in this case, Ukraine was just way ahead.
It is amazing how fast things are evolving. And it's not just on the ground. We're seeing some really strange developments in the air war, too. I'm reading about Predator drones.
Yeah, this is another sign of that offense-defense cycle just speeding up. And frankly, it shows a bit of Russian desperation. They've started modifying their Shahed drones.
The slow, loud suicide drones.
Those exact ones. They are strapping rear-facing R-60 air-to-air missiles onto them.
Wait, hold on. Air-to-air missiles on a Shahed? That sounds absurd.
It is. The R-60 is an old Soviet heat-seeking missile. It's heavy. Putting it on a Shahed just kills its range and maneuverability. But they're doing it because their other drones are being hunted.
Hunted by what?
By Ukrainian Sting interceptor drones. These are fast, agile FPVs that have been knocking Russian reconnaissance drones out of the sky.
So Russia is trying to turn a Shahed into a sort of bodyguard drone to shoot back.
They're trying to create a predator to hunt the interceptors. It's a total Frankenstein solution, but it shows they're losing the battle for the skies over the gray zone.
Feels like they're just throwing everything at the wall.
It's improvisation born of necessity, but it also confirms Ukraine currently has the initiative in the drone war.
Okay, so Ternuvate is cleared, but this wasn't an isolated incident, was it? There was something similar up in the Kharkiv region in Chuhunivka.
Almost a carbon copy. Chuhunivka is right on the border. The Russians used the bad weather, crossed about 500 meters, planted a flag, claimed victory.
And the result was?
Identical. The 16th Army Corps cleared them out, took more prisoners of war. This tells us it's not just some local commander's idea. This is a synchronized, theater-wide strategy from the Kremlin.
But why? Why waste elite VDV airborne troops on what are essentially suicide missions just to plant a flag for an hour? It just seems militarily irrational.
As a purely military operation, it is. But if you look at it as cognitive warfare, it makes perfect, cynical sense. You have to look at the calendar. There are peace talks in Miami and Abu Dhabi.
The diplomatic track?
Exactly. Russia is desperately trying to simulate a frontline collapse to influence those talks. They want the ticker on CNN to read, "Russia captures village X, Y, and Z."
They don't care if they hold it as long as today's news cycle says they're advancing.
That's the entire strategy. It's trading real lives for virtual headlines.
But while they're playing those games, we can't ignore the massive energy strikes on February 6th and 7th. That wasn't virtual.
No, that was pure terror. Over 400 missiles and drones in a weekend. And the targeting was incredibly sinister. They weren't just hitting power plants, they were going after the high-voltage substations that support the nuclear power plants.
That's just playing with fire on a continental scale. You're trying to force a meltdown.
That's the goal. Force emergency shutdowns. It caused huge blackouts. 600,000 people in Lviv lost power. But the grid held.
The resilience of those Ukrainian engineers is just unbelievable.
It truly is. It shows that while Russia is playing these Hollywood games, their attempt to freeze Ukraine into submission is also failing.
It's such a brutal contrast. But Ukraine isn't just taking these hits. We're seeing some very significant strikes deep inside Russia. Let's talk about the Flamingo.
This is where you see the strategic balance really shifting. We now have confirmation of that strike on the Kapustin Yar launch site.
Kapustin Yar is legendary. That's where they test their ICBMs and launch those Oreshnik missiles.
It's one of their most sensitive strategic facilities, and Ukraine hit it. The General Staff confirmed they used Ukrainian-made Flamingo cruise missiles.
Flamingo sounds harmless. What is this weapon?
It's a massive leap forward for Ukraine's own defense industry. This is a purpose-built land attack cruise missile. We're talking a range of maybe 1,000 kilometers.
1,000 kilometers. That puts a huge amount of Russian military infrastructure at risk.
It does. But the real game changer is that because they are made in Ukraine, there are no Western restrictions on their use, no asking for permission.
So if they want to hit a fuel plant in Tivover,
They just do it. And they did. They hit the Redkinsky research plant, which makes fuel for the KH-101 missiles.
so they're hitting the Archer, not just the arrows.
Exactly. This points to industrial independence. Ukraine is building its own long-range deterrence now.
Which has to strengthen Zelensky's hand in Miami. You can't demand capitulation when your offensive is being stopped by robots and your own deep rear is getting hit.
It's crucial leverage. Holding a village like Ternuvate proves the Russian winter campaign has been a failure.
But the summer is coming.
It is. The summer 2026 offensive is expected in late April or May. Russia is building a strategic reserve.
But they're struggling to get the starting positions they need for it.
That's the key takeaway. Ternuvate matters because it's a potential jumping-off point. By clearing it, Ukraine denies them that platform. Russia is burning through its best troops for PR victories, which may leave them weaker when the ground dries out.
So, to sum this all up, Russia tried a Hollywood production in Ternuvate. Ukraine saw through it, used superior tech like robots and Starlink geofencing to wipe them out, and exposed the entire tactic.
And in doing so, they've kept their logistics safe for the summer and handed their diplomats a very strong card to play. It shows Ukraine is winning on precision and tech integration.
It's just a fascinating shift. The battlefield is becoming transparent. You can't just plant a flag and lie about it anymore.
The drones are always watching.
So here's a thought to leave you with as we look towards the spring. Is Russia's reliance on these virtual victories, these staged videos, is it masking a much deeper problem? Are they doing this because they simply can't conduct large-scale mechanized offensives anymore in the face of Ukraine's drone superiority?
That's the question that should be keeping people in the Kremlin awake at night. If the virtual war fails, do they have a real one left to fight?
Something to think about. You've been listening to Defense Report by Alex, where we analyze the latest in military strategy, global defense, and advanced weaponry.
And thanks for trusting us to cut through the fog of war.
Subscribe to Defense Reports, your trusted source for timely, in-depth military and defense analysis. We'll see you next time. Keep supporting us so we can continue bringing you the latest developments from Ukraine and around the world.